Hi everyone, I'm HJ. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my personal experience from the perspective of a student and content creator using the Acer Nitro V 15-inch gaming laptop. The configuration I have here in my room and studio is the i7-13620H Intel CPU, 16GB of DDR5 RAM, and the NVIDIA RTX 4060 laptop GPU. Firstly, for the average student and creator, you get more than enough ports and a decent display. Sort of. I say that with a sort of because with the lack of an SD card reader and with only a 300 nit display that is not as color accurate, if you're any well-known pro, you'll probably want to consider other machines. Thankfully, for a podcaster like myself and the average student, you can easily solve these two problems with an external SD card reader to USB-A and by turning on auto color management in the Windows settings, which will make color slightly better. I did say this has a 300 nit display. In my use case, in the early morning or during late evening outside, when it's generally fine if the sun is at a low angle. But as soon as the sun gets high enough, say past 10 a.m. or before 6 p.m. here in the southern US during the wintertime, the screen becomes unreadable in broad daylight. This isn't even accounting for how it's going to feel in the summer. Thankfully, the cool thing about this 300 nits panel is that you do get a high refresh rate. This is particularly good for simulations, rendering, and especially gaming. With 144Hz enabled, albeit only while gaming, visuals felt smooth, and frames were greatly and positively paced well for the games I played. While all this information will be completely worthless without telling you how it performs in my workflow. Remember the i7 CPU I told you about? It's great, and paired with an RTX 4060, I am easily able to slice through my Cisco networking and other cybersecurity programs with ease. Even Python coding ran smoothly before dropping the class for the semester and having to retake it next fall. In games such as Destiny 2, with VSync turned off to remove FPS caps, I was hitting 400 plus FPS in menus and 60 to 100 FPS in multiplayer matches, equaling or totally sometimes exceeding the 144Hz refresh rate, and truly maxing it out. In 5M, with VSync turned off, I was hitting 70 FPS on a heavily modded 5M server with 5PD or ERS for GTA 5. Both these games were run on a high-medium mix, and in 5M's case, even on the best day, I could still hit 45 to 50 FPS while completely maxed out, which is very well playable. But there's always a caveat with these sort of machines. And we have to talk about the big brother in the room, the one that's not watching us and the one that's sitting at the bottom of the laptop on the backside completely. And that is that battery. That very bad battery. With a 57 watt-hour battery and at 100% brightness for real accuracy in usage, I got 2 hours before my battery was at 45-ish%. And bear in mind this was on 60 Hz. That doesn't even account for the 144Hz refresh rate because in my testing, while using 100%, I did lower the refresh rate. That 144Hz, even with dynamic refresh rate enabled or variable refresh rate, is still going to drain it pretty quick. Now you may be wondering why I didn't use the 50% standard that most reviewers use, because most individuals who use this in a bright room, or even some individuals who use this just in a dim room, typically max out the brightness regardless of their setting, and most people don't like dim displays, which at 300 nits, anything below 80% or 200 something nits is pretty darn dim. So do you want this laptop? Well, my answer is yes, with a caveat. If you're okay with around 3 hours of battery, or maybe 4, at max brightness, and you just simply need to get through 2 or 3 classes, if you know your performance needs are met, and are always near an outlet between places, then yes, this is for you. If you're okay with this display, and don't do any art or creative work, then this is also for you. But, who is it not for? Those who need a very good battery and those who need a very, very good display. But the price. I would only buy it personally if it were on sale for under $1,000 if you can find it that cheap. And otherwise, an Asus G14 from 2023 or a 2024 Asus G14 or Acer Nitro 14 with way better battery can often be available on sale from Best Buy or some other places for not too much over $1,000. And even on sale, like the Asus G14, for example, I've seen it as low as $1,200. And at that price point, because the Acer Nitro V on non-sale is at $1,100, if you have $300 more, just spend the money to get the same spec Acer Nitro 14 with a 4060, or get a higher spec Asus G14 with 32 gigs of RAM and a 4070, and get a better battery for the same performance or better and a very decent display. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys follow the podcast on Spotify. Please be sure to keep up with the podcast because I have new episodes right around the corner. And don't forget to follow me on Blue Sky and subscribe to my YouTube channel for future notifications on those. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm HJ, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.